would like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which we are meeting and the lands to where tonight's broadcast reaches. We also pay our respects to the elders and to the elders from other communities who may be in attendance. Welcome everyone to Council's June ordinary meeting. Second time we have live streamed the council meeting and have had some councillors and some staff attend virtually. Given that we do have a councillor attending virtually, I will need to ensure that they are able to be seen, hear and be heard. So I'll just check in with Councillor Alan White from the Valley Board. Councillor White, can you hear us and see us?
Yes, I can.
Excellent. Everyone hear Alan?
Yes.
Excellent, thank you. If a conflict of interest is declared, the councillor or councillors who have the conflict will be removed from the meeting completely by either being placed in the virtual waiting room or by physically leaving the room for that item, and will be reinstated after that item has been dealt with before the meeting can proceed. All councillors will vote by showing their hand, making sure their raised hand is within shot if virtual. If any councillor or councillors lose connectivity during the meeting will be suspended briefly to attempt to re-establish connection. If a connection cannot be re-established with all councillors, the meeting will continue providing there is a quorum. If council's broadcast of the council meeting experiences technical difficulties and drops out, the meeting will be adjourned for 30 minutes to re-establish connection. If the connection cannot be re-established, the meeting will be adjourned to a date and time to be advertised. So with that, I'll call for any apologies. We don't appear to have any apologies other than Councillor Biz, who is on leave. So I'll move straight into the confirmation of minutes of the previous meeting. Can I please have somebody to move that Council adopts the minutes of the ordinary meeting held on Wednesday the 13th of May 2023?
Do those move.
Councillor Warren to move and second that. Councillor Simpson to second. Anyone opposed? No, motion carried. Do we have any requests for leaves of absence? No. Do we have any declarations of conflicts of interest?
Say me.
No. Okay, very good. We don't have any questions from the public at this stage. So we'll move on to our procedural items. Item 7.1, can I please have somebody move that council note the reports of the Assembly of Councillor meetings held on 4th, 6th, 20th and 22nd of May 2020, please.
Yes, happy to move those.
Councillor Warren to move.
And happy to second, Mayor.
Councillor Mills to second. Anyone opposed?
No.
No. Motion carried. Item 7.2, letters of congratulations and recognition of achievement or awards. We do have some additional items to add in there, I believe.
Yes, Madam Mayor, I'd like to move that we nominate the Councillor Bruce Mead from West Buloke Shire. He started with the Buloke Shire in 1993 and he's continued straight through with the West Buloke and receiving his Order of Australian Medal over the long weekend. And as well as that, I'd like to write a letter to Dr. Graham Emerson, who was awarded the Public Service Medal over the last Queen's Birthday weekend. Dr. Emerson is an ex-Berwick resident, born and bred, and he started his career as local government with the Burgess, then Secretary of the Buloke Shire. So I think it's just fantastic to recognise a councillor there and Dr. Emerson. I think fantastic achievements over the Queen's Birthday weekend.
Thank you, Councillor Fuller. Do you have any further?
Through you, Madam Mayor, yes, I'd like to add one as well. It's more of a congratulatory letter, for Mr. Robin Letts. Robin has just recently turned 90 years of age, and I know that we probably don't normally do birthday congratulations, but in this particular case, Mr. Letts has been a correspondent for former Donald Shire and the Buloke Shire for probably nearly all of his working life. So he's been a good friend of the Shires, and I think it'd be just a nice touch to offer him a letter of congratulations on his recent birthday. Can I also just add through Madam Mayor that Councillor Meir has been well represented on the former Woodman Regional Library Board, as where probably a lot of us have got to have contact with him on a regular basis.
Right, if there's no more additions tonight, please have somebody move the council acknowledges and congratulates those people that we have just added to the table. Councillor Pollard to move and seconder.
I'm happy to second that, Madam Mayor.
Councillor Mills to second. Anyone opposed? No. Motion carried. Item 7.3, please have somebody move the council notes the record of correspondence sent and responses received. To move and seconder.
Happy to second that, Madam Mayor.
Councillor Newlands second. Do you have any clarifying questions?
Through you, Madam Mayor, has there been any further response, official response for any of those items listed that hasn't made the correspondence that we see here?
Thank you, Councillor Milne, and through the Mayor, there has not been any further written response regarding the Collar Highway, particularly intersection work. We are now working, we'll try to work through Regional Roads Victoria to understand that project and the funding.
Okay, is anyone opposed to that motion? Motion carried. Item 7.4, building permits. Can I please have somebody move that council notes the information contained in the report on building permits approved by staff on the first debate of the 31st of May 2020?
Thank you, those me.
Councillor Warren to move and seconder.
Yeah, happy to second, Madam Mayor.
Councillor Mills second. Anyone opposed? Motion carried.
Yes, someone on the phone. You'll take that opposition.
Okay, item 7.5, planning applications received. Can I please have somebody move that council notes the information contained in the report on planning applications under consideration by staff and the status of each of these applications?
Okay, move that, Madam Mayor.
To move and councillor White to second. Is anyone opposed to the motion? No, motion carried. Okay, item 7.6, we have a petition table for council consideration. Mr. Judd, would you like to introduce that, please?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So, on behalf of the virtual community, a petition has been lodged with council for solo art, particularly around rain and windfire. This petition attracted a number of signatures, some 529. Under council local law, this presented to council. Given the amount of focus on this area, officers are recommending action immediately through this, and those actions are that we refer this project strongly through to Regional Development Victoria and the Silent Art Gap Analysis Project. Right through the lead petition highlighting the potential for funding for this project under the Creative Activation Fund, which targets the Remote region next round. In August, and on behalf of the lead petitioner, we commence dialogue with Grant Court about the approval needed for the project.
Thank you, Mr. Judd. Do we have any clarifying questions in regards to that? Okay.
Sorry, yes, Madam Mayor. Is there any indication through the petition as to what side of the silo petitioners were looking for to be painted?
I don't have that information, so I can see clarification.
Yeah, I haven't had anything anything come through to me as well, and I just wondered whether you'd been informed. It just might make it easier for viewing on one side or the other.
Thank you. If there's no more clarifying questions, I'll ask for someone to move the council resolve to receive that part of the petition that is compliant with council's meetings procedure and common seal local for 2019, and refer the project to Regional Development Victoria to include in silo art gap analysis project, Write to the lead petitioner highlighting the potential for funding for this project under the Creative Activation Fund targeting the Wimmera region, scheduled to open in August. And on behalf of the lead petitioner, provide representation of Rainfall to advocate their support for the project.
Madam Mayor, I'm happy to move that motion, and I wish them all the best.
Thank you. And a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Simpson. Is there anyone opposed to the motion?
No.
No? All right, motion carried. Item 7.7, as this is the procedural issue, I will just read out the recommendation and ask for a mover and seconder. So this is another petition tabled for council consideration. So can I please have somebody to move that council resolve to receive that part of the petition that is compliant with council's meeting procedure and Commons Bill Local Law 2019 and write to Regional Road Victoria and Rainfall advocating for action to be taken on the shoulders of Birchwood Road at the Green Steeple site and write to the lead petitioner to revise the resolution.
I'm happy with that recommendation, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Pollard. And seconder? Councillor Stinson? Any clarifying questions?
No.
Okay.
No clarifying questions, but I think we should be reminding the Regional Road Victoria, I think they're the responsible authority for truck movements. And the Regional Road Victoria man and truck movements, they should be doing that.
Councillor Pollard, is there anyone opposed to the motion? No, motion carried. Moving on to general business. So item 8.1.1, the procurement policy. Ms. Yu, would you like to introduce that report, please?
Thank you. Through the Mayor, the Local Government Act 1989 requires Council to adopt a procurement policy, review it at least once each financial year. The policy presented to the Council this evening has been reviewed and updated to reflect our current practices, taking into account recommendations from the Council Audit Committee and additional feedback from councillors as outlined in the report. The report is recommending the Council adopt the procurement policy.
Can I please have somebody to move that council adopt the attached procurement policy for the remainder of the 2019-20 financial year and the 2020-21 financial year, please?
Happy to move those, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Warren, and seconder?
Second that, Madam Mayor.
Councillor Pollard to second. Is there anyone opposed to the motion? Oh, sorry?
I'm not opposed. Sorry, I'm not opposed, but I do have a question. Two
Yes.
questions, in fact. The first question refers to the top of page 2 of the policy, page 26 of the agenda. Delegation refers to the authorisation of offices, is what is written there. Should it be officers? Yep. And on page 4 of the policy, page 28 of the agenda, under environmental sustainability, can waste management be changed to waste and resource recovery in order to keep language consistent with new policies and so on that are being brought into legislation, or is it immaterial?
Yep. Okay. Yep. So we leave as the mover and seconder, we'll be able to make that change. So we have Councillor Warren was the mover. Are you happy with that?
I'm happy to change it. It tidies up. I mean, we are trying to use it through our various areas there. So
Councillor Pollard, you happy with that change?
I'm happy with that change, Madam Mayor.
Okay. Thank you, Councillor White. Was that all your questions?
Yes, it was. Thank you.
All right. So I'll call for any opposition. No opposition. Then motion is carried. Thank you. Item 8.1.2, loan guarantee policy. Ms. Yu, would you be able to introduce that before the vote, please?
Thank you. Through the Mayor, in October 2019, Council resolved to develop a loan guarantee policy. The policy attached to the report provides that Council will, in certain circumstances, act as guarantor in the form of bank guarantee for bank loans sought by community organisation for infrastructure or projects or facilities which Council owns or controls. This report recommends Council adopt the loan guarantee policy.
Thank you, Ms. Yu. Do we have any clarifying questions? Councillor White?
Yeah, I have two clarifying questions, if that's okay. Can you please confirm that the total loan guarantee commitment for all the loans guaranteed by council will not exceed $300,000? Is that the intention of this policy?
Through the Mayor, yes, that's right.
Thank you. And the second question that I have, in the policy, it states that all applicants must produce reports twice a year to council detailing their financial operations. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Thank you.
Yes. That all of your questions, Alan? Councillor White?
That's all the questions. Thank you.
Through you, Madam Mayor, just another clarifying question. So with the total loan guarantee of 300,000, does that mean that, let me get this right, so if somebody borrows some money and they've paid a portion of that back, does that make up part of the 300,000, or is it the actual loan for the full term of the loan that makes up the 300,000?
Yeah, it's the total guarantee commitment from the council at the time the application is received.
So if part of this year, so if part of the loan has been repaid, that can't be relent in another guarantee, another loan.
Through the Mayor, I believe we have to negotiate with the bank and understand that, and there may be an ability to reduce our commitment of guarantor if part of that's paid off, but that'll be, I think we signed that contract with the bank at the start of the loan, so you have to negotiate.
I'm happy with that answer, thank you.
If you like, just to take that one step further. So we currently have a situation where Charlotte Park has a $150,000 loan. Correct. So if I'm reading this correctly, we only have a capacity now to allow another $150,000 loan.
Or multiples thereof.
Or up to 150,000. So our total exposure is only ever going to be $300,000. Correct.
Yes, that's what the policy is proposing. Please note that we do have an additional guarantee amount for the budget housing for
Any further clarifying questions?
Thank you.
No? Okay, then I'll ask for a mover. Can I please have somebody to move that council adopt the loan guarantee policy, please?
Happy to do that, Madam Mayor.
Councillor Milne to move, and a seconder? Councillor Warren, second. Do we have anyone opposed to the motion? No one opposed, then motion carries. Okay, so item 8.1.3, election period policy. Mr. Judd, can you please introduce that?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Council will be aware that we reviewed and adopted an election period policy in December 5 to 6 months ago. We've been forced to review that following the introduction of the new Local Government Act. The report highlights some minor amendments to the policy and we bring this back to your consideration.
Thank you, Mr. Judd. Do you have any clarifying questions?
Yes, Mayor. Just to clarify, I was reading the new governance rules which we're going to discuss and put out for execution. The election period policy is covered in those governance rules. Is that correct?
It will be, yes.
It will be, so that we have to independently do something prior to those being adopted. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's staff taking the view of adopting this to incorporate it into the draft governance rules that then become the final governance once they're adopted in August. Okay, thank you.
Is there any further clarifying question? Okay, then can I please have somebody to move that council receives and adopts the election period policy for the 2020 general elections pursuant to section 69 of the Local Government Act 2020, please? Councillor Warren to move and seconder.
I'll have to fix that now.
Councillor Pollard to second. Do we have anyone opposed to the motion? No. Motion carried. So move on to our management reports, item 8.2.1. Ms. Gu, would you like to introduce that report, please?
Thank you. Through the Mayor, Council adopted the draft 2020-21 annual budget at its May 2020 meeting for public consultation. Written submissions were invited in relation to the content of the budget, and those persons making submissions have been invited to present to Council on their submissions this evening. In addition to the 2 submissions referenced in the report, Council received an additional 4 submissions. This report recommends Council receives those submissions.
Thank you, Ms. Yu. We also have some submitters that were required to speak to their submission that we have in our waiting room. So we'll get the first one of those up, which will be Mr. Graham Harris. Mr. Harris, can you hear us?
Mayor, Mr. Harris's audio is still connecting. Can we just give him a couple of seconds to see if he can complete that connection? Mayor, might I suggest we move on to our second submitter and we will administer some technical support to Mr. Harris and place him later in the sequence of submissions so he can make his submission to council.
Yes, excellent. Okay, thank you. Good. So we'll move on to our representatives from the G Life. We've got Tracy Cardella and Carol Crawford.
It.
Hello all.
Hello there.
Tracy and Carol work together.
We are.
Excellent. Welcome. We've received your submission, and so now you'll have up to 5 minutes to address your submission. Won't be able to ask questions of councillors or council officers. However, councillors may seek some clarification on points that you raised. I will not be taking the debate. So I'll let you go now. We'll start the time now.
Okay. Start video. Oh, there we go. Yeah, okay. So we put that submission in because Witchy Proof Caravan Park wasn't in the draft budget. And we probably jumped the gun because then we were thinking like we probably should have heard earlier about the DELPS grant. And now that we have heard about the DELPS grant, really the submission, all we'd be asking now was that the quote, one of the quotes we have for the toilet block is 137 $1,500 and the grant's only 125. So could we, in the submission, just have that maybe council would pick up the shortfall on that?
Okay, so I'll just ask a clarifying question just quickly, if that's all right. So,
Yep.
You just want to adjust your submission from the 137 that you were originally asking to the difference between the grant that you just received and the 137.
Yeah, but that other grant was 140 something, Tracy.
Yeah.
And the camp kitchen's not included. We could go that.
No, can you say that again, Caroline? Sorry, I didn't hear very well.
So you're only asking for 12,000 now instead.
Yeah, unless we can leave the rest in for the camp kitchen.
Yep, okay, we'll have to get someone to contact you and get the details. Would you like to keep going on with any presentation?
No, not really. Only that in the quote we do have for the toilet was also included in that was the new beams that needed to go onto the roof so that we could put solar on. So that's where it jacks it up a little bit more from the 125 that we've received.
Okay.
And we're putting for a grant on the solar.
So what we might do is, now that we've got that additional information, we might get that further detailed so that we can consider that when we consider all the rest of the submissions.
Yeah, fine.
Right. If any other councillors have any questions they'd like to ask?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Just to clarify, what was the original amount of money you were seeking as a grant?
170,000.
Excuse me.
The grant was 200.
The grant was actually 200, but our quotes went in at 170.
Tracy, was that for the toilets and the kitchen?
Yeah, the grant could be up to 200,000 and the quote for the toilet and the camp kitchen was 170,000. Yeah.
Thank you, Tracy and Carol. We'll get an officer to contact you to get some clarification around some of those figures.
Okay, excellent.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for your time.
Bye. Bye. Leave.
All right, so our next one is Graham. Is Mr. Harris ready to show us anything, or we'll go on to?
Go on to Jacinta Miller, please, Mayor. I haven't had Graham's connection confirmed as yet from our tech support.
Okay, thank you. So we'll move on to the Future-Proof Golf Club with Jacinta Miller. Hello, Jacinta, can you hear us?
Yes, I can. Thank you.
Excellent. So we've received your submission. So you'll now have an opportunity to speak to that submission for up to 5 minutes. During this time, you will not be able to ask questions of councillors or council officers. However, councillors may seek clarification on any points that you raise, but will not engage in debate. So if you'd like to commence your submission now.
I guess it is as written. So, so we have been, the Future-Proof Golf Club has been calculating away the project for the bathroom upgrade, particularly now that we've completed the kitchen upgrade, which was the funded by the FRRR grant, and we'd been trying to keep some momentum with regard to the funds that we understood were in allocated in the budget last year. So, so we only found out last night that those funds were now not available at all, and so hence our submission today to see if there's any way that we can, you know, find or whether those funds can be available even as a seed funding to help us with grants for the bathroom and change room upgrade.
Okay. Is that the end of your submission?
Yeah, so I think it is quite self-explanatory, and the emails, conversations and the meeting minutes show that we hadn't really dropped the ball. I think that there might have been a bit of confusion and perhaps some miscommunication, but we had been really in good faith working towards the bathroom upgrade as well.
Is there any clarifying questions from the councillors?
At this stage.
Not at this stage? Okay, excellent. Thank you. Well, thank you so much for joining us. We'll consider those points when we consider all our submissions to the budget and when we debate our final submission for the budget.
Very
So
good.
thank you. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
Who have we got next? Ready? Yeah.
So it's just Graham Harris is remaining. I'm just waiting for some confirmation about whether or not he has an established connection, Mayor. So happy to take your advice on what you would like to do.
Okay, do we have Mr. McConville?
Mr. McConville has not attended, and it looks like he won't be making, won't be talking to his submission either.
All right.
I think, through the Mayor, perhaps if we can regain connection later, we might stand orders and bring Mr. Harris back in, but perhaps we continue with the rest of the agenda.
Our tech has just advised that we could potentially try him again, and if it doesn't work, we'll get him to dial into the meeting at a later stage, if you're happy with that, Mayor.
Yep, that sounds good.
Admitting him now. It doesn't appear to be establishing a connection, Mayor. Our IT will give him a call, and we might revisit this later in proceedings as you initially suggested.
All right, thank you, Mr. Deputy. Well, in that case, can I please have somebody move that council receive submissions in respect of the draft 2020-21 annual budget adopted for exhibition on the 30th of May 2020 in accordance with section 223 of the Local Government Act 1989, please.
Madam Mayor, the support of order, do you think we can postpone a motion to postpone that's after Mr. Harris's submission.
Yep.
I'd like to move the motion that we postpone item 8.2 till after Mr. Harris's, we've heard from Mr. Harris's submission.
Okay. So moving that, can we have a seconder for that? Councillor Pearson, second. Is anyone opposed to that motion? No? Right, motion carried. Thank you, Councillor Buloke. Item 8.2.2, draft governance rules. Ms. Hugh, would you like to introduce that report as well, please?
Thank you. Section 60 of the new Local Government Act, the Local Government Act 2020, provides that council must adopt governance rules by the order of before the 1st of September this year. Prior to adoption, council must ensure that an appropriate process of community engagement is followed in the development of the rules. This report recommends council commence that period of community engagement and invite written submissions on the draft rules.
Thank you. Do you have any clarifying questions?
No, not at this stage.
No? Okay, can I please have somebody then to, excuse me, move that council, having prepared the draft governance rules in accordance with section 60 of the Local Government Act 2020, commences community engagement in relation to the draft governance rules and makes the draft governance rules available on council's website. Allows persons to make submissions in writing in relation on any proposal contained within the draft governance rules and allows presentations in support of written submissions to be heard at the council meeting on 8th of July 2023.
I'm happy to move that.
Councillor Buloke to move. Oh, sorry. And Councillor White to second.
Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have anyone opposed to the motion?
No.
Okay, motion carried. Thank you. Item 8.2.3, instrument of delegation to CEO. Ms. New, would you like to introduce that one as well, please?
Thank you. Through the Mayor, Council officers have recently revised the instrument of delegation to the CEO to meet the requirements under the Local Government Act 2020. The instrument of delegation sets out the powers, duties and functions of the Chief Executive Officer and is subject to the conditions and limitations specified in the instrument. It is noted that the proposed instrument of delegation returns the CEO's financial delegation to 250,000, which reflects the financial delegation of the CEO pre the COVID-19 pandemic.
Do you have any clarifying questions? Okay, thank you. Then can I please have someone to move that Council resolves that they be delegated to the person holding the position or acting in or performing the duties of Chief Executive Officer, the powers, duties and functions set out in the attached instrument of delegation to the Chief Executive Officer, subject to the conditions and limitations specified in that instrument. The instrument comes into force immediately. The common seal of Council is affixed to the instrument. On the coming into force of the instrument, all previous delegations to the Chief Executive Officer are revoked, and the duties and functions set out in the instrument must be performed, and the powers set out in the instruments must be executed in accordance with any guidelines or policies of Council that it may from time to time adopt. Just a reminder, I'm looking for a mover for that, please. Councillor Moore to move, and seconder.
Happy to second, Madam Mayor.
Councillor Neal to second. Anyone opposed to that motion?
No.
No. Motion carried. Item 8.2.4, Economic Development and Tourism Strategy Progress Report. Mr. O'Toole, is he still online? Yeah, can you please bring in Mr. O'Toole again? Thank you.
Madam Mayor, I think I'll present this one. So, through you, Mayor, each 6 months, Council's made a commitment to report against the Economic Development and Tourism Strategy. The last report was in December, and this report highlights a range of, initiatives and things the Council have worked with the community on to progress economic development and tourism in our region. Those highlights are highlighted in the report. Clearly, a huge focus around some of the infrastructure funding for childcare and streetscapes recently, but also some of the work happening with the workforce skills analysis as well. So, councillors, we bring this to you for your information.
Thank you. Do you have any clarifying questions? No?
I suppose to clarify, rates before, particularly in regard to economic development and so forth, it would be good to get a feel or some indication in how jobs have been created, businesses attracted, or those sorts of things, so that we can see where the value is in pursuing these policies. I mean, in all government grants, I'm sure there's an element where they ask how many jobs are being created, and I mean, that's one of the key things. So, I'll just say, whether these reports are being prepared, it's probably a very good thing, clearly, to
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just a question, I suppose. The minutes of these particular meetings, where are they circulated? Can we get some clarification on that, please?
Thank you.
I'm happy for you to take it on notice.
Yeah. Thank you, Madam Mayor. I assume we're talking about the Economic Development
Advisory
and Tourism Committee. So obviously to members is my understanding, and also through to councillors through the bulletin, but my understanding is that they are not published publicly. Is that?
Thank you.
There's no further clarifying questions. I'll ask that somebody moves that council note the progress made against the Economic Development and Tourism Strategy 2018 to 2021, please.
Happy to move that, Madam Mayor.
Councillor Milne to move, and a seconder.
Happy to second that, Madam Mayor.
Councillor Pollard to second. Do we have anyone opposed to the motion?
Madam Mayor.
No? Okay, motion carried.
So Graham, if you want to start speaking, you should be okay to speak.
Okay, so given that we moved to deal with the rest of our budget submissions when we had Mr. Harris back online, we will move back to that item.
Yeah, no, they put me back on mute, so I'm not sure why.
Sorry, what was that?
No, we're almost there. We're almost there. No, we're almost there. Okay, I've got to go. Here you go.
Mr. Harris, can you
Go, Graham, start talking now.
It's Graham McDonald.
Councillor, can you hear us?
Yep.
Yep. So we're your submission, and so now you've got 5 minutes to address your submission. So during this time, you won't be able to ask questions to councillors or council officers. However, councillors may seek clarification on points that you raise, but will not engage in debate. So if you'd like to address your submission now, please.
So I'm allowed to read what's in here, but not allowed to ask questions.
Yes.
Is that what it said?
Yes.
Okay. My thoughts on the budget. The ratepayers have ratepayers paid a $7 million debt incurred through the financial mismanagement of the previous council. That obviously freed up a lot of 200,000 interest payments that could have been returned to the ratepayers with a no rate increase. Now, there's a $5 million surplus, and to me, there would be no need for a 2% increase. Now, a lot of people look at, I'll probably go down to the last sentence or the sentence in the middle of the submission. There's no need for the 2% interest. A lot of people see it as the 2% interest or no rate increase. A lot of people see it as not having to pay more rates. I probably see it as a marketing exercise, a brilliant marketing exercise. There's no rate increase, and some councils have reduced the rate. So I think marketing would just be so good to be able to promote the Buloke Shire as the lowest, a lower rate, no rate increase, and an opportunity to come here to the Buloke Shire where there's no rate increase. And just aside to that, the Weekly Times, we topped the list on both occasions as the highest rating council, and also, well, there was another thing there that topped the list on in rating. The disappointment in the budget is no funding to grow jobs, grow business with incentives to relocate families, promote building of houses, shops and factories. I see there's nothing in there to promote that. And surely with a $5-point-something million line opportunity now to do something with a budget surplus. I don't mind budget surplus, but it doesn't, it just seems to be grabbing money off the ratepayer that's not necessary. If you work within the budget, not having to use the surplus, there's something wrong. Streetscapes and consultants do not grow the business and the real jobs. The buildings, houses, sheds and factories do. Council management seem to live out the Shire in the game. And councils aren't familiar or not aware of, seem to be anti-economic development in their attitude. The EDAC committee has no real line item funding to develop projects or incentives, and other things I've asked for in the EDAC committee have never been forthcoming. We asked to what was the previous incentives for building houses, and nothing ever appeared. I think the manager that you pointed there is just not interested, and certainly lives a long way away from the Shire now. It's a mistake to consider the local government rating system is based on land values, and we think that we're always going to have ratings, rate revenue. But my concern with the local government very existence is that the existence depends on population, and if you've got a declining population, I'm quite positive Buloke Shire will, I'll say that will not exist in 5 years' time, unless it's a push to grow the population. If you've got a strong, viable population, it's something that would stop the local government people in Buloke. And be realistic. And a few years ago, I was approached, and Donald was approached if we wanted to push to join Northern Grampians. And believe me, I've got a son-in-law that lives in Yarriambiack, and Yarriambiack putting incentives out there to attract that part of the Shire to Yarriambiack. So it's on. If you don't grow the population, if you do grow the population, I believe all else will follow. And if you've got higher populations, you get higher rate income. It reduces the cost of rating, and people will come in if there's incentive there. There's opportunities. We've suggested some opportunities to grow the housing, which housing-led recovery. The federal government recognises that, and the state government recognises the importance of the economy with their $20,000 incentives for rural property growing, $25,000 incentive, respectively. So Shire should certainly look at coming up with a house building incentive. Get on the bandwagon with the other state and federal governments, and put together a full package to lead the build. And people are wanting to come out from Melbourne, so there should be some action in that area. That's probably all I've got.
Oh, okay. I was just going to say I've got 10 seconds to wrap it up.
Yep, that's it.
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you. You've done well. All right. Well, thank you for that. We have any clarifications from councillors? No. All right. Well, thank you very much for that submission. We'll continue to debate those submissions when we look at adopting our budget at a later meeting. So thank you very much for attending, and we'll let you go now. Okay, so now we've heard all the submissions. I'll now call for someone to move that council receives submissions in respect of the draft 2020-21 annual budget adopted for exhibition on the 13th of May 2020 in accordance with section 223 of the Local Government Act 1989.
Just a point of clarification. There were two other submissions. Were they invited to submit personally? Did they decline, or they had no interest in presenting their view?
Through the mayor's, I understand that everyone was invited, and the 4 that took it up, and ultimately only 3. The one apology were the ones that took it up. Okay, thank you.
Okay, so can I please have somebody to move that recommendation, please?
Oh, recommendation, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Pollard. And seconder?
Second, Madam Mayor.
Is there anyone opposed to that motion? No? Okay, motion carried. Thank you. Now, I think Mr. O'Toole's back,
Madam Mayor, thank you. Yes, I'm back.
which is good time because we're now up to item 8.2.5 of SRB funding applications. Mr. O'Toole, would you like to introduce that report, please?
Yes, I would, Madam Mayor. Thank you. And through you, Council has been given the opportunity to apply for funding through Sports and Recreation Victoria for projects of a minimum of $1 million. Officers have been working with some of the local sporting groups and identified a couple of projects at this stage. One is around a lighting project across the regions for some of the sporting grounds. And the other one is to use the $200,000 in the draft budget for next year to leverage for stage 2 of the Donald Community Precinct. Madam Mayor, today there's also been another project that has been brought forward, and that could be the subject of an alternative motion from councillors.
Okay, thank you, Mr. O'Toole. Do we have any clarifying questions? No? Okay.
Probably only for you, Madam Mayor, comment. Or do we put that alternative motion first? I'll hold my comment.
All right, so can I please have somebody to move the recommendation for, oh, sorry, Councillor White, you've got a question.
Councillor Stewart, can I please put forward an alternative motion?
Yes, absolutely, you can.
The first 3 points of the motion, the alternative motion, are the same. I'd like to add another one. So number 4, that we work with the Sea Lake and District Complex Committee to develop a funding application to improve the changing facilities there. And I guess another sentence will be that the complex committee will contribute the 10% matching funding required.
All right, thank you, Councillor White. So I'll just read that new alternate motion out in full so that everyone's absolutely aware of what they're voting for. So the alternate motion is that Council engage with the relevant sporting clubs and apply to the Sport and Recreation Victoria Community Sports Infrastructure Stimulus Program for Buloke Sports lighting upgrades. To apply to the Sport and Recreation Victoria Community Sports Infrastructure Stimulus Program for Donald Community Precinct Stage 2. Utilise $200,000 allocated to the Donald Community Precinct in the draft 2020-21 capital budget as matching funding for the broader Donald Community Precinct Stage 2 project, and The new item number 4, work with the Sea Lake and District Complex Committee to develop a funding application to improve the change facilities and ascertain the ability of the committee to contribute the 10% matching funding required. So Councillor White, you are moving that alternate motion?
Yes, I am, but clarification, I didn't say ascertain the ability of the committee to contribute the 10% matching funding. I think I had a different sentence that said the complex committee will contribute the 10% matching funding required.
Okay. So, improve the change facilities and the committee to contribute 10% matching funding required. Is that correct? Yep.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, so
and I'm happy to move that.
Yeah, thank you. And the seconder, please.
I'm happy to move that, Madam, second that, Madam Mayor.
Councillor Mills, second.
Confusion raised.
Okay. Do we have anyone opposed to that motion? No. Okay. Motion carried. Item 8.2.6, report on grant outcomes. Mr. Judd, can you please introduce that report?
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. Again, this is an annual report that Council receives in June each year. It highlights the funding applications made, including the successful and unsuccessful and applicants not yet known. As we heard earlier in the meeting, there has been funding announced recently over the weekend for the caravan park, so the camping and caravan park grant upgrades. So I can advise that since this report was produced, Richardson Caravan Park and Rural Lake Caravan Park were partially successful, not the full amounts. The Donald Caravan Park, Gordon Park and Chum Lake projects were fully successful. So adding another $450,000 to that pool. So represents an enormous amount of work done by councillors, staff for advocacy and also grant applications, and clearly also community who often do the ties work and pulling together quotes and matching funding and whatnot. So a really pleasing outcome for the Shire.
Thank you, Mr. Judd. Do you have any clarifying questions?
Just a comment if I can, Madam Mayor. As CEO Judd explained, there's a large amount of money there that's been applied for and received. Some still outstanding that we need to hear from, but a fantastic effort by all involved to pull together applications that are so successful and to have them submitted and accepted over and over again is very important to our Shire that we can attract extra funding. We know that our rate base probably contributes to about a quarter of what we can spend. So external funding is always very important, and I'd like to congratulate staff and community members and others involved in all this work because it's a fantastic outcome. It does mean we've got a lot of work on our plate, but sitting idle gets nothing done. So this will be a good result at the end of it.
Thanks, Mayor. I suppose just a clarification, and it probably relates to the very recent announcements in regard to caravan parks and place. What was council's exposure, if any, to matching contributions for these projects?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So the majority of these, the applications included a $3,000 to $4,000 amount for project management. So that was the limit of the matching funding for each of these projects. In-kind support for existing staff to help manage the project.
So that leads to the question is, how much money do we need to be chipped in to make these projects happen? I mean, I think we'll probably just have a budget submission in terms of witty brief. So there's obviously there's a shortfall there that has to be found somewhere.
Yeah, I think through the mayor, obviously the application's got to apply for everything, and the state government have graciously given us a large portion of what we've applied for, but in some they've only awarded partial grants, and that's the nature of it. So we have to manage scope. The draft budget isn't expected to change in terms of council putting extra money into these projects to match the grants. It will be done through existing staff and project managers.
There's no further clarifying questions. I'll get someone to move that council notes the information provided in the grant funding outcomes report, please. Councillor Pollard to move and Councillor Warren second. Do we have anyone opposed to the motion? No? All right, motion carried. Item 8.2.7, local roads and community infrastructure program. Mr. Jarden, could you please introduce?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. The federal government have recently released the local roads and community infrastructure program. This is notionally an allocation to council of $1.6 million for eligible infrastructure expenditure. It's part of a stimulus package for the economy to rebound through COVID-19 and targeting community and civil infrastructure project. Officers and councils have reviewed a long list of projects, and these projects that are being recommended have been on the list for some time. It is a good opportunity to put these forward as applications. So those projects are drainage improvements with K Street in Charlton, pavement improvements and sealing Industry Drive and a small section of Tower Road, upgrading of major lights and Park Street lighting to energy efficient loads, and streetscape and street furniture enhancements for Mandalay, Werribee, Colgoa, Nullarbor, Buloke.
Do we have any clarifying questions? No. Okay, then can I please have somebody move that council submit an application to the local roads and community infrastructure program for the following projects: Charlton drainage improvements in Bay Street, pavement and sealing of Industry Drive and a section of Tower Road, upgrading Major Road and Park Street lighting to energy efficient loads, and street enhancements for Mandalay, Werribee, Colgoa, Nullarbor and Watch. Councillor Warren to move and a seconder. Councillor Simpson to second. Is there anyone opposed to the motion? No? Okay, motion carried. Okay, we'll move on to our financial reports. So item 8.3.1, audit committee meeting minutes, the 6th of May 2020. Can I please have somebody move that council notes the draft minutes of the audit committee meeting held on the 6th of May 2020, please? Thank you, Councillor Pollard. And a seconder? Councillor Mills.
Okay, do that, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Do we have any clarifying questions? No. Do we have anyone opposed to the motion? No. Thank you. Motion carried. Item 8.3.2, finance performance report as at the 30th of April 2020. Can I please have somebody to move that council receives a note of financial performance report for the month ending 30th of April 2020? Councillor Neal. And a seconder.
I'm happy to move.
Thank you. And is there anyone opposed to the motion? No? Excellent. Thank you. Your motion is carried. We move on to our organisational reports. So item 8.4.1, our 2020 local government community satisfaction survey results. Mr. Fitzgibbon, would you like to introduce that report, please?
Thank you, Mayor. Councillors, tonight we bring the results of the 2020 local government satisfaction survey for noting. These reports are coordinated on behalf of all Victorian councils by the Department of Environment, Land, Water and Planning. The survey results are calculated on the back of telephone surveys that were conducted throughout the month of February of this year. Pleasingly, the survey demonstrates an overall 3-point improvement on the 2019 result. This continues a multi-year trend of improvement from 2016 and is our best overall result since 2012. Underlining the importance and success of Council's strategic planning, this reporting has demonstrated a rise in satisfaction year on year throughout the life of the current Council plan. These overall results are on par with the state average and are 2 points higher than Council's small rural cohort. It's recommended that Council notes the results of the 2020 Local Government Community Satisfaction Survey for future strategic planning of the organisation and to ensure it is being responsive to the evolving needs of our community and that the results are placed on Council's website for public review.
Thank you, Mr. Fitzgibbon. Do we have any clarifying questions?
No questions, just comment.
Okay.
If I can, through you, Madam Mayor. Great to see that we've had a lift in most areas of the survey results and opinions of our ratepayers. We do, however, fall down in a couple of areas, and one of those particularly roads, I think we'll address this year in our draft budget. So while not preempting the result of the survey, I mean, it's great that we can probably propose to double the spend on roads this year from 4 to 8 million odd, thereabouts. So that'll go a long way to alleviating the problem we have, although we know we've got a large road network and no amount of money will get to the end of it. It's a bit like the Sydney Harbour Bridge, you get to one end and start again. So, but we will, without being funny, I mean, we will look to address that with the draft budget and hopefully maintain the performance on the other aspects. Recreation obviously gets a good gig, and one would hope so with the amount of money that we're spending in that area and looking to spend going forward. So, an exciting report.
Clarifying questions. I'll ask somebody to move that Council notes the results of the 2020 Local Government Community Satisfaction Survey, considers the future actions in response to the results, and publishes the results of the survey to the community. Okay, Councillor Pollard to move, and a seconder.
Happy to second, Madam Mayor.
Councillor Milne to second. Do we have anyone opposed to the motion?
No.
No? Okay, thank you. Motion carried. Okay, so we'll move on to our reports from councillors. Item 8.5. Do we have any councillors wishing to make a report? No to Councillor White. Anybody else?
I suppose. Given that we're live streaming across the world, I mean, there might be a worldwide interest in what a council does during lockdown times. So it's probably important that people know what we've been up to. Nothing. Which is interesting. I think one of the interesting things in the last 10, 12 weeks is grappling with the technology and working hard in terms of this, I suppose, online sort of scenario and things like that. It's actually refreshing to be in a real meeting where there are real people who you can see and look at and see what they're thinking or trying to see. In terms of that, the work of the council still goes on. So in time I've been attending online workshops, which are interesting in terms of the online workshops, and hopefully building my repertoire of information as a councillor that will help the organisation going forward. The other thing that I've enjoyed doing in this time is assisting the community by delivering Meals on Wheels. And it's an interesting and very interesting scenario. In terms of time management, time management is critical when you are delivering Meals on Wheels, because people sit there and they have watches, and if you are not there on time with their meal, things become very sticky or cold. Well, yes, I mean, because they all know what they're getting, but I mean, it's the same every day, so to speak. Look, I think been an interesting ride so far, and hopefully going forward, we'll see a return to, I suppose, more meetings, also servicing our groups. I mean, the other night I had the privilege of sort of attending a Rex Theatre meeting, which was a hybrid meeting. That was interesting, because I mean, you're not quite sure what you're hearing in terms of that. You need to check your facts and those sorts of things. So there's, yes, lots of different things that are happening there. But rest assured, ratepayers, or as Paul Hogan would say, customers, that viewers, that we are still working the way on your behalf. And we're still pretty much accessible to. So I mean, you can always find us. We still go to the supermarket. We're still there, and that's important that people know where to find us, so that they know we are still working on their behalf. Whether they agree that work is relevant is another matter, but we're still there. So thanks, Ed.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Look, just to touch on a couple of things. We've had, going through this COVID process, the community support meetings on a Monday morning. Can I just suggest that they've been very informative, very helpful, I think, for a lot of people to get some questions answered and you know, just basic follow-up things done for individuals and groups. So they've been a great little initiative, and there's probably a place for them going forward somewhere along the line in another way, shape or form. We've also had RFA Alliance meeting via Zoom, on which minutes and things will come out on those very shortly. And we've had Buloke Tourism and Wimmera Tourism meetings that we will get some minutes out and circulate those, and I'll include them as part of my report to be submitted. Thank you.
Just like to inform people that I've been talking to Delp in relation to corral management. What's happened is, on behalf of Charlton Parks, I've applied for a permit to use a drone in scaring corrals. And I've found out since then you've got a permit for drone from Delp and CASA and a few others. So I've started talking with Delp to try and get permission to get a drone flying along the river to scare the corrals. And I think I'm probably successful in that one. Then the next one is working with CASA to try and get someone up with a license to fly the drone on site. There's some challenges in flying a drone along the Buloke River in Charlton.
Would that be impacted by the heli standard?
With CASA, and I've been talking to the people that supply the drones. Yes, helipad and the airport both impact on what we're allowed to do. The problem being, or it's basically the CASA licence, I'd say it makes us use common sense. As soon as we hear a helicopter, the drone falls out of the sky. Because you don't fly with a helicopter around. 2 reasons. The drone's $8,500. And the other reason is the helicopters don't like drones.
No.
But no, there's a thought about that one of the issues, and the other issue is flying in a public area. So because you won't be able to have your drone flying all the way. Because it's behind trees sometimes. The drone we're looking at, you can set up a flight path, so they can fly the same flight path. They're having to steer it. Or it could be overridden at any stage. But I just thought it's just something.
Look good on your resume.
Thank you, Councillor Bullard. Do you have any final report? No? Okay, well, I'd just like to have it noted that I would like to say thank you so much to all the staff and everything that they have done over the last however many weeks that COVID's been going on now. It feels like it's been 2 years. The staff have been so incredibly responsive and flexible in the way that they have been approaching everything. And like Graham mentioned the community support team. There's also the business support team. All the effort that the staff have put into supporting the community is absolutely fantastic. I think we don't probably thank them enough for everything they do. And I know that Mr. Fitzgibbon and his IT team, all the extra effort that they've had to put in with media and also with IT for virtual meetings, etc., is just incredible. I don't know whether they've actually been sticking to the hours that they should be working. I dare say they probably have not been getting as much sleep as they normally do. I'm sure they're up all hours doing extra work, but I just want everyone to know that I personally, and I'm sure the councillors feel the same, that we are incredibly grateful to have such wonderful staff and just being so flexible and pivoting flexibly. So thank you. I know Alan will appreciate that last word. Anyway, thank you. All right, so we'll move on to our other business. We've got a notice of motion for the Mode Shift Incentive Scheme. So, Councillor Milne, would you like to read out your motion, please?
I will, thank you. When I get there, after the screen is raised. Thank you, Madam Mayor. The motion is a recommendation the Council writes to the Honourable Minister Melissa Horne, Minister for Ports and Trade and Minister for Public Transport, thanking the State Government for the funding and extension of the Mode Shift Incentive Scheme for 1 year and request that a longer term extension is considered until the 30th of June 2022.
Thank you. So, Councillor Milne is going to move that.
I do so move.
We have a second. Councillor Pollard's second. Councillor Milne, would you like to address your motion?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The Mode Shift Incentive Scheme, I mean, most of us will be aware that it's a fairly important scheme. Has been very successful over many years, and I read to encourage the transfer of freight from road to rail, which is a big push that we have, reducing congestion and improving safety for all our road users. In June 2020, Minister Horne announced that the MSIS Mode Incentive Scheme funding of $4 million for a further 12 months, which takes the scheme out till June 2021. This is a welcome announcement and will help with the freight effort in our region. It's an important stimulus for Victoria as well as Buloke Shire Council, along with other Victorian councils, and I know it's supported well and truly by Rail Freight Alliance, and they push hard for this incentive to remain. So I put that to council for consideration.
Do we have any comment that would like to speak to the motion?
I'd just like to thank Council for presenting it to Council. It's a very worthy motion in reference to our farming community and getting their freight for their grain produce down to the port.
All right, do we have anyone opposed to the motion? No? Okay, motion carried. Thank you, Councillor.
Thank you very much.
All right, so we'll move on to item 9.2. Questions from councillors. Councillor White, I believe, has 3 questions, so we'll start with her and then we'll move on to Councillor Milne.
Thank you. I actually have 4 questions, if that's okay. I'll just go through them as they are. Our social media accounts are usually excellent and very well received by a wide range of people, not only in Buloke, but in lots of other places. But does council realise how insensitive and disrespectful to many people in the Sea Lake and surrounding community it was to post on social media at the weekend footage of the developments at Lake Tyrrell? It was the Queen's birthday weekend, and given that it is usually the weekend when the Mallee Rally runs, and many people were upset that it wasn't running this year, lots of people have voiced their opinion that it was insensitive for us to run that footage at that time. As beautiful as it was, as good a project as it is, perhaps we, is there any way where we can look at some sensitivities around what we are posting and when we're posting them?
Mayor, can I'd like to respond through the Mayor if I could. Thank you for your question, Councillor White, and you're right. Our Facebook reach is 35% of our population, so it's a massively positive tool for council generally. And the fact that we're top 5, I've crunched the numbers on this myself, top 5 for all 79 LGAs for that percentage of people engaged from our community with our Facebook suggests that you're right, we get it right most of the time. I made an apology on this post on Tuesday to the executive whilst trying to celebrate that infrastructure project. I really had neglected to consider those that were missing out on a second straight Mallee Rally. I'm happy to publicly apologise for that post in this forum. It was a spectacular own goal. We all make mistakes, and I'm really sorry for that one. And I would like to apologise to the CLAC community, many of which have reached out to me through Monday and Tuesday. My Tuesday was largely spent communicating with a lot of people from that community. So I'm well aware of it. And again, we all make mistakes, and that was mine for this year.
Thank you very much, Travis. Mr. Fitzgibbon, I'm sure the CLAC community will be accepting of your apology.
Next question, Councillor White.
Councillor Milne mentioned the community support team meetings that are held on Monday mornings that have started up during the COVID pandemic time. I just wondered, what are the roles and responsibilities of the community members, volunteer community members who actually attend those meetings? We know that there's a community support team, but it's not clear to me what the actual roles and responsibilities of the attendees are.
Thank you for the question, Councillor White. This is really an information sharing forum. It's an ability, it's a meeting that often has the chair or one of the executive from the town forum. So someone who has a leadership role within the town, and quite often there's a neighbourhood house coordinator or facilitator who's doing a lot of work in social support in this through their own role. So this is about information sharing. We get information through to us about what is happening on the ground from the community, and that is really valuable for us to look at. And we've been able to go and act with those leaders of the community on a couple of different occasions. It's an ability for us to share information with also the town forums and neighbourhood houses about things that we're thinking or initiatives that we're looking at. And it's also been an ability to get, well, recently, some of the other stakeholders in, so for instance, Trevor Adam from East Mental Health Service to share what's happening from that role. So it's really around information sharing, and I guess those people in the leadership roles, whether they can share it with their committees or town forums, that's down to them.
Thank you. Next question is, we see the huge list of projects that we have been funded for, other projects we have applied for, projects that we're currently doing. There's a massive amount of work going on right across all of our communities now and into the future in Buloke, and that's really good to see. Some of our projects have project control groups, others don't. Maybe they're being run completely by council, but given the number of projects, especially the infrastructure ones that we are doing now and planning to do, should we have project control groups that have a terms of reference so that everyone is clear which project they are working on and what their roles and responsibilities actually are?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yes, and that is what we are working through. The exec had a presentation on the project management framework to improve all things project management related, and in terms of reference for particularly our complex or sizable projects, will certainly be implemented going into next year's capital program.
Can I ask a follow-up question to that then, please? What would you consider to be a sizable project?
I guess probably without using examples, so we're probably looking at the complexity of it more so than a dollar figure. So, for instance, a road project, we typically won't have a control group unless we understand there are a whole bunch of stakeholders, and some of them are our most expensive. We might have a $5,000 project where we understand there's a whole heap of stakeholders, so we need to manage that with the control group. So it's more around the complexity than the size of the budget. No, that won't fully answer your question, but I guess there's a judgment call on that. That officer will make.
That's fine, thank you.
And your final question, Councillor White?
And my final question, thank you. It's completely different. Regional Roads Victoria have recently started what they're calling conversation starters about the Calder and Sunraysia highways in particular in our area. Is Council intending to respond to those questions within the conversation starters? And is there opportunity for councillors to have input to those questions?
Through the Mayor, I certainly know that the highway committee, improvement committees are looking at them, but from a council perspective, Mr. O'Toole and I were talking about listing this for the briefing next week to form our submissions. As long as they are within the timeframes available, so I will review that, but we believe they'll come to the briefing next week for discussion. It is a good opportunity, and I think if we can, we should submit.
Thank you.
Okay, so does that complete all your questions now, Councillor White?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Mill.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. My question is to the CEO or the relevant officer, and it's to do with working for Victoria and the Sidekicker app that is being used for gathering old workers and dispensing of jobs. Can we just have maybe a quick update on whether we're getting good response? And can I make the suggestion that I'm being told that Sidekicker is not working the way a lot of people want it to work? They can't get matched up with jobs that they're looking for, and that I know that a question's been asked of the relevant authorities that maybe Sidekicker is not the best way to go with all of this, and can we have an option? So I'm probably just looking for a comment on all of that, Madam Mayor.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you, Councillor Milne, for that question. It's a good question, or a good point of discussion. I guess, an update of where we are in the type of applicants. So we've had a range of applicants, metropolitan, but also local, as in local within the Shire and local within neighbouring boundaries. We've started some of the interviews this week on a range of different roles. We have heard that. We have had that feedback around from some of the community who have tried to find us on Sidekicker, provided that feedback through. Sidekicker have been doing some things, and what those things are, I'm not really sure, but in the background. And I noticed the other day that within 2 hours we had a whole bunch of more applications, so it obviously got reposted and reshared. And I think some of our people did get that account, but it still isn't perfect. It's definitely not perfect. So the algorithm of smarts that goes into the system to match people, some feedback we've provided. We have suggested to Sidekicker that if we cannot meet the quota, we would like to consider direct engagement through our own typical employment or recruitment process. Now, they have requested that we consider the Sidekicker version for the next week, 2 weeks, and then look at the applicants we've got. certainly got a number of people applying for our jobs, not all of them geographic.
It does, thank you, Mr. CEO, it does answer the question. I suppose some of the feedback that I'm getting is that one or two people have walked away from it because they just can't navigate their way around Sidekicker as easily as it's said to be, and that they probably won't be interested if that foresight doesn't improve to the benefit of us trying to use it and them trying to get a job out of it.
And I think perhaps with those scenarios, and if they have gone through that means and they cannot get matched, they cannot find us, is perhaps a conversation with us so that we can grab that and use that specific example and then connect it with our Sidekicker contacts to say that this is not working in this scenario.
I did have one other question, but Councillor.
Mayor, to follow up on Graham's question, people who have attempted to apply through Sidekicker a week or two ago and haven't been able to successfully navigate it, do we advise them to reach out to Sidekicker or what's the scenario?
I think if they're really having trouble and they've been through Sidekicker and they can't connect in with our jobs, is contact us when we can, just so we can at least work through that. I also think that Sidekicker do have a call centre, and what we've done separate to Sidekicker is post the type of job we've got on our employment website and we've shared it on social media, so people can kind of know what they're looking for as well when they're in it. So we've sort of found some success with that. If they're having issues through Sidekicker,
and then come back to see what we do.
We're still prohibited of employing them directly, but we might be able to find a way to get them connected with the Sidekicker representative to find their way into our database.
That answers your question. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. My other question was further to the Rural Roads Victoria Calder and Sunraysia Highway situation. Have we had any indication from Rural Roads Victoria that other funding will be available for other roads within our shire, other than what we've got application and successful grant in for? Given that we've got quite a number on our list, and while I probably don't want to make it too hard for us to get the work done on the roads we've got listed, is there any indication that more money might be available for more roads?
Through the Mayor, not direct from Regional Roads Victoria, but certainly the government made announcements 3 or 4 weeks ago, I believe, about more money going into state roads, so that we can make representations to Regional Roads Victoria and understand, what, if any, of those projects are in our local patch or the joining patch.
As a follow-up question, please, Madam Mayor, can I ask that we maybe have a quick look at this at briefing to update our list of what we might want to present to or request from Rural Roads Victoria, that we have our pipeline project, to our pipeline list of roads that we prefer, have them up to date, ready to go if that announcement comes out, or if the possibility is there. Thank you, Madam Mayor. That's all my questions.
Thank you, Councillor Bill. Do we have any further questions from councillors? No? Right, then we don't have any urgent business or any other business or any matters which may exclude the public. So we'll bring the meeting to a close. Our next ordinary meeting will be on the 8th of July 2020 at 7 p.m. Thank you all for attending in person and also online, and thank you for those who tuned in.